Ever since I was a little kid, I've always had sleeping problems. By sleeping problems, I mean things that I knew would happen while I was asleep and just kind of continued life. And those sleeping problems have followed me my whole life, even into adulthood. Sleep is important. It actually does affect your mind and honestly is the key to living. If you don't fix your sleep, you're cooked. When I was little, I used to get sleep paralysis a lot, actually. You know, the feeling when you're laying in your bed, your eyes are closed, you're laying down, you're dreaming, and you're having a dream. No matter what the dream is, it could be a nightmare, it could be something scary. But basically what happens to your body is it freezes. For some reason, your mind tells you that you are in a bad situation, not where you should be. Therefore, it tells your mind like you need to wake up. Even though your mind is telling you to wake up, your body won't let you. It freezes. As a kid, that happened to me a lot, to the point where basically I could recognize it while it was happening. Once it starts happening so often, you learn how to handle it when it does happen. Till this day, I'm not really sure if it was a dream where I was asleep, but I do think I was awake because I have a very vivid memory of waking up crying to my mom. My mom would say, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I'm hysterically crying. I would look up at the ceiling, and in the corner of the room, there was a giant tarantula. And I mean like giant, like in the movies, giant. Not like a big spider. Like it was basically the size of that TV. Very big. And it was crawling on the ceiling upside down in the corner, right where I was. And I remember insisting to my mom, "There's a huge spider right there. There's a huge spider right there," hysterically crying. Till this day, I remember that. I think I could have been less than like 10 years old. I remember that so vividly till now. And I was thinking, am I awake? Or is this a dream? And I think I was awake because my mom looked at me and said, "Jasmine, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Look, there's nothing there." And I saw it and I was like, I swear to you, it's right there. But you're a kid. So, you know, when you're a parent and your kid comes to you saying, you know, whatever, you just want to calm them down. Those kinds of instances would happen to me throughout my childhood. I remember one time I was asleep and I was in a very large house that I used to stay with my dad on the weekends. And I was sleeping and I think I was asleep. I should be asleep. And all of a sudden I heard a loud, high-pitched scream of terror. Like I'm talking a real cry for help scream. A scream that would shock you out of your sleep. Coming from another part of the house. So it wasn't coming from in my room where I was sleeping. It was just another part of the house. And I remember just immediately waking up, my eyes opening, and then immediately my whole body getting those shivers. You know, when something happens and your body recognizes that it's a bad thing and immediately goes into like, I don't want to say fight or flight, but I guess it's technically fight or flight. But I was a kid. I didn't know what was going on. And I just know if I hear screaming, something like that, then that's obviously terrifying. I just laid there in shock, awake. And I thought, okay, surely if there is someone screaming, my dad would hear it and he would come out and check what it is. I laid there, I waited. Nothing happened. And I was like, what? Did no one hear that? I know I wasn't the only person in that house, but it was just so loud. I was like, how?
09, Amy says nobody's checked into that room, and there's reports of screaming coming from that room. What's going on, John?
actually do believe that I started hallucinating around high school, middle school time. I remember I was in high school sleeping in my room. My eyes would open. I would see little tiny bugs coming to me, towards me. Or I would see maybe just some sort of like shape. I can't really describe to you like what it was because it's not something you see like in your normal life. It would just be like shapes. And I remember being awake and I would see it, tell myself, oh, that's not real. That's a dream. It's not real. I would just watch it come towards me. And I no longer was scared of it happening. I was no longer fighting it. It was just more of like, okay, this is happening. You're normal. This is okay. And it'll go away. It'll go away. Then, till this day, probably the scariest thing that has ever happened to me in my sleep. I was either a freshman or a sophomore in high school. I was sleeping in my room like normal, and I would say I was actually in a deep sleep. For some reason, I was sleeping on my right side, so like this. I know I was in a deep sleep, but I opened my eyes, and on the side of my bed, there was people, but not just regular people. There were 4 beings. I'm gonna call them human. There were 4 of them. There were 2 tall, 2 small, as if it was like 2 adults, 2 children. And I looked at their faces. The best way I can describe it is, if you're familiar with Slender Man, I'll put a picture of Slender Man right here so you know what I'm talking about. If you're familiar with Slender Man and how he looks, but when you look at the face, it had an X across the whole face in stitches. So it's as if they were like cut like this and stitched back up as an X on their face. They did not have a face. It had no features of what I would call human, but they were shaped like Slender Man, if that makes sense. Opened my eyes. I saw these things looking at me. And I know they were looking at me because as soon as I registered in my brain what was happening, I jumped up and ran out of my room, which was 3 steps, not far at all. The door of my room was right there. I remember looking at them as I was running out of my room. And I remember they watched me like this. Okay? And I know for a fact that I was awake, fully conscious, because I ran down the stairs. Have you ever ran downstairs so fast it's like you're gliding down the stairs? That is what I did. That is the first time I have ever screamed from a dream, and it woke up my entire house. My parents came out and they were panicked. They were like, "What's wrong? What's wrong? Are you okay?" And I was like, "There's people in my room. There's people in my room. Go look right now. There's people right up there." Eventually, all my siblings woke up because that is how loud I was. Stepdad went upstairs back to my room and he looked. And he said, "There's no one there." Till this day, I remember that. I had to have been maybe 15. 14. It's crazy because I know for a fact that I was awake. I was awake. And I ran down the stairs. And I saw them. I saw them look at me. Ever since that encounter, I have honestly felt like I can handle anything. Now it's evolved to the point where I am no longer in a sleep paralysis. I actually will wake up and walk around. I will walk around, but I'll still be in a dream. I'll be dreaming about something, there's a story, something going on in my dream, and then I wake up, and then I get up and I walk around, and for example, I'll be like, "Oh, there's something in the living room, I need to go get it." That's part of the dream. There's something in the living room, I need to go check. So I'll get up in the middle of the night, lights off, everything is off. I'll walk, and I walk right here, into the living room. And I'll literally just go, oh, I didn't eat anything. Turn around and go back to sleep. I'm not even joking. That's actually what will happen. I want to know if this happens to other people. I want to know that this isn't just me. As far as I know, my mom also has similar sleep problem, even though I've never seen her do that in real life. I just know the stories from my stepdad. I want to know if this is something that happens to like other people, or if this is something that gets like passed down from your parents, because this is kind of crazy. I've also had dreams where I've seen something happen. It's a normal dream, normal situation, and then it comes true that week or the next year or just eventually. People say that when you have deja vu, it's because you've seen it before, because you've experienced it before, whether it be in a dream or actually in real life. But I know for a fact that I had a dream before I had ever looked for a house, before I had ever moved out, that I was sitting actually right here. Sitting right here on the floor, just enjoying my time with people around me in this house. But I didn't know where it was. I didn't know what the context was. A year later, I just coincidentally happened to just sit right here, just out of pure chance. And I sat down in that exact spot and I looked up and I saw, wait, this is the exact house that I saw in my dream. I dreamt this. How is that possible? Can anyone tell me how is that possible?
The woman was too stunned to speak.
I had no idea this house existed. No idea what the inside even looked like. But I saw it in my dream. Things like that make me question, is there a power in dreams? Do we have any type of power in the dreams we have? How are we capable of having dreams of things we have never seen before? I thought dreams were only supposed to be of things we had subconsciously thought about before, or something that we came across. Now, of course, we can always imagine things in our brains and whatnot, but for it to come true in your dream and then in real life, that's crazy. Unfortunately, alongside a lot of these nightmares and these hallucinations has come a lot of sleep deprivation. Unfortunately, I used to not be able to sleep. There were times when I would not be able to sleep consistently for maybe 2 weeks straight, to the point where my body was so exhausted that your body goes to sleep, but your mind stays awake. So that also causes some hallucinations because your mind is still active. I was so exhausted and so mentally exhausted that I think it put my body into survival mode, because I wasn't able to fall asleep. No matter what I tried to do, I would lay there for hours and hours. That is unhealthy. That impacts all areas of your life, whether you like it or not. You will not have energy during the day. Your appetite will change. Your hair will fall out. Basically culminate over time, but you don't really realize until you notice it. One day, it's all just so bad. It got so bad to the point where I thought about doing a sleep study. I've never done a sleep study before. Sounds kind of crazy. I guess you sleep for a night, or they observe you sleep for a night. But how's that even possible if I'm not gonna fall asleep, But I just wanted to share my sleep experiences. If you hallucinate too, let me know. If you know you're hallucinating and then you control it in your dream, let me know. At one point, I actually almost thought I was schizophrenic. Yeah, that was when it was really bad and I was very sleep deprived and I would hallucinate basically every other night. It got to the point where I was just used to it. When I tell people the story of the people in my room, they freak out. So I thought I would share this and then see if anyone else has experienced anything even remotely like that. I would love to know. But all right, see you in the next video.